Serious, what is the most disrespectful thing a guest ever did in your home? U/Phantom DRVR responded. Back in my bachelor days, my buddy and I decided to hit the nightlife in some bars in Austin. I was never a big drinker and had a few beers over the course of the evening. He was drinking vodka all night like it was water. Needless to say, he was in no condition to drive across town to his place, so Elle told him he could just crash at mine. Sunday morning and I'm getting ready for church. Knock on the door and ask if he's okay. Told him he could sleep in while I'm gone if he wants to, but he just says he's got to get going and quickly leaves. Get back from church a few hours later and the entire apartment smells like shit. Sniff out the sauce in the guest bed. Evidently the fucker had woken up during the middle of the night and evacuated a beagle-sized turd into my sheets, rolled them up and then continued sleeping the rest of the night in the same bed he had befouled. The real WTF, other than sleeping all night next to a rolled-up sheet with your own monstrous juice in it, is that he could have just stayed after I left, cleaned up, and I would have probably never known. Fuck you, Warren. U/Kerriad responded. This happened to my friend. She has a koi pond in her backyard that her and her husband built themselves. It's a nice little pond in the ground with rocks and a waterfall. They also have a couple of cats. They go out of town for a couple weeks and one of her work friends takes care of her house. A few days in, this work friend comes over and dumps the entire bag of cat food onto the kitchen floor. Then she decided that the water in the koi pond looked a bit low, so they turn on the hose to top it off. Only they forget to turn the hose off when they leave. She never comes back to the house to check on anything. A couple days later, the neighbor notices that their backyard is flooded and that there's koi swimming around in the yard. They turn off the water and try to catch the koi but are not successful. The koi end up dying or getting away. Luckily the cats inside were okay. The neighbor calls my friend to tell her what happened. Let's just say that my friend is not friends with her co-worker anymore. Edit, I told my friend about this subreddit and how I posted what happened to her, and she wanted me to also tell you that a tree that was supposed to be watered in the front yard died because her friend didn't water it. U/Room responded. We had a friend over who spent the entire evening telling us how ugly our home was. Like, we drove up and he said what a shithole and then made rude comments about our furniture and decor once he was inside. Our house is really nice in a nice part of town, decorated tastefully and simply. I was livid by the end of the night. Edit, to all of the comments suggesting I kick him out, I couldn't kick him out because he'd been drinking and we took his keys. I did eventually yell at him for being a dick and felt much better. U/FLETCH responded. A friend of mine decided to take a piss in our bottle of hand wash in the bathroom because he didn't like my stepdad. When he came back laughing, I asked him what was up and he told me, expecting me to find it hilarious. I did not. I also had another friend stay over one night and he stole my HDD out of my Xbox 360. Edit, this was 5 years ago and 7 years ago respectively. They are no longer my friends. You can stop telling me to find better friends now. U/Diana Prince Lives responded. My husband's uncle's wife died. They were married for 30 years, total sweethearts, and he was devastated. Aunt Dot was wonderful, everyone loved her. He couldn't cope being alone, so he put an ad out on Match.com and the first woman to reply, he married. She is the definition of white trash. He brought her to our house to stay for a long weekend to help us put in a deck in our backyard and so we could meet her. She decided to buy a puppy on the drive over, which wasn't potty trained. It was a Pomeranian and I thought it was full grown and housebroken. I'm at work when they arrive. I come home to piss puddles all over my living room, with her sitting on my couch on a new laptop he bought her. She wasn't watching her puppy, just letting it roam. I was in the kitchen at first and didn't see what her puppy has done. Within 5 minutes, she told me how Aunt Dot's adult children were terrible and trying to take his money, that they didn't approve of her, and on and on. Then I saw the dog. I have 2 dogs myself, but she had locked them outside. Needless to say, their weekend was cut short and left early. U/Throwitawayzamium responded. My married sister flew in from out of town to attend my brother's wedding. I was living with my bro at the time, so technically it was my home too. Night of the wedding, my bro and his new bride go to a hotel room to do what newly married couples do. My sister brings some rando home from the bar after party and proceeds to fuck him in our brother's bed. Oh, and she was apparently on the rag cause the next morning it looked like someone bled out on the mattress. My brother is a bigger man than me. He bought a new mattress and forgave the sister for her transgressions. U/Wildblue responded. Had a friend staying with us for a while. She was trying to get back on her feet. I had just adopted a new kitten, about 10 weeks old. One day, I am standing in the kitchen, talking with said friend when I hear my new kitty meowing, loudly, but sounds kind of muffled. I proceed to start looking around for her. She sounded distressed. Said friend just stands there, with a kind of crooked smile. So, I asked her where the kitten was. She said she had no idea. The meows are getting less and less, and I am walking all over the place, waiting for the next meow to lead me to her. She was in the freezer, WTF? I pretty much screamed at the psycho, upon retrieving my shivering, confused, and miserable kitten. WTF did you do? She smiled and said, I thought you knew, cats love to be cold. I told her, well, that's just great, and since she claimed to love and understand cats so much, she will appreciate how cold she would be tonight, on the street, out of my house. I told her she had about 10 minutes to get her shit and get out, or not only would she be getting an ass kicking, I would be calling the police regarding her cruelty to animals. She left. Kitty survived to be 18 years old. Is this funny? Responded. This girl stayed over at my house after the pub. I went to bed with my fella, woke up, girl was gone. Walked into the bathroom later that day, place stank of shit. Eventually pulled back the shower curtain. There was a jug I use for washing my kid's hair. She'd shit sort of half in the jug, half in the bath. I mean, it was an odd enough thing in the first place, but there's a toilet in that bathroom, which you have to walk past to get to the bath. I got a message on Facebook that evening saying, I'm pooped, thanks for letting me stay. I confronted her and she claimed she had no idea about it. Obviously she's never been invited over since. Deleted responded. Well, my mother had a friend who had the most annoying kids on earth. They literally take food out of our fridge and eat it without permission and splash water in our bathroom and make a mess. And once, her son took sunflower seeds from our kitchen and started eating and spitting the shells on our couch. His mother just looked at him and laughed, and my mother was looking at her like, are you fucking kidding me? Needless to say, this was the last visit. Vanga Romano responded. I live on a boat. It's a cargo ship built in 1924 and converted into a liveaboard in the 50s, but it's still a boat. We sail on it every summer pretty much. The first thing we tell guests is to be conservative with water because we have tanks that need to be filled and to not put anything in the toilets. The plumbing is much narrower than in a house and we have septic tanks that don't handle cellulose very well. It's not even a problem because we have trash cans everywhere. Basically, the idea is if you didn't eat it or drink it first, then it has no business being in the toilet. Yet some people just don't get it or don't care. Our tanks and pump can handle some toilet paper, like in case of a slip up or just general absent-mindedness. Long story short, people with a young kid came over, kid needed a diaper change, mom proceeded to shove dirty diaper and wet wipes into the toilet despite there being a very obvious sign and a trash can 20 centimeters away. Obviously, the next day everything died and we had to pull the whole toilet plumbing tank pump system apart. Also, it was the middle of summer, so yeah, that was fun. Needless to say, they were not invited over again. You shadow her company responded. A friend broke up with her husband and stopped at my place one night while driving across the country with her 2 young kids and her entire house packed up. No notice, but she's a friend, so I didn't hesitate to open my door, feed, wash, and give everything needed. Next morning I had to go to work. I absolutely had to. She's like, no problem, I'll lock up on the way out. I came home to a trashed house. She took a nap, I don't blame her, but the kids didn't. There was maple syrup in the carpets of 3 rooms and most surfaces, because kids, cats, and syrup. Condiments were strewn across the kitchen, which was also flooded with milk. The cereal was found in and under the couches. Poor kids tried to make breakfast. What pissed me off was that she saw the mess when she woke and bolted. Edit. She's met a good one now and I'm a bridesmaid. Yokayla responded. My mother was in the middle of her fight with cancer. She had been flown overseas a few times, was in the middle of chemo and radiation, all while trying to work and take care of my elderly grandmother. She is one of the kindest and most compassionate people in our community, so everyone was rightfully really concerned about her and her well-being. Except for her uncle, who came to the house frequently just to complain about his non-existent medical issues without asking once how she was doing. Even on days when she was laying in a darkened bedroom shivering on a summer day and couldn't come out to greet him because she felt so poorly, he'd still sit in our living room and loudly whine about how his doctor told him he'd have to change his diet for his blood pressure. She is the one who patiently listened and sympathized with his bullshit the most, but did he return a pixel of her compassion? Of course not. My mom has been in remission for years now and it still fills me with fury what a selfish narcissistic idiot bastard he is. He's dead to me. U/Dkirk 526 responded. In college, my roommate invited some of his old high school friends to stay at our house for the weekend. One of them got blackout drunk, threw up on our carpet, and shit his pants in one of our armchairs. Edit. Some clarification for those of you saying it's acceptable to get drunk sometimes and accidents happen. If they were my close friends or even my roommate's close friends, I'm more okay with it. It was 2 high school seniors, one of which was a kinder friend of my roommate and the other was Poop Chair Boy whom neither of us had met. They came up to visit our uni and were mostly looking for a free place to stay, so it's not like they were coming up to hang out with my roommate. They came to lunch with us, but they went off to some darties in the afternoon and we didn't hear from them until 1 a.m. Poop Chair Boy was being carried and we ended up having to sit him propped up in an armchair with his head in a trash can. He still kept missing the trash can, getting puke on the carpet, and then at like 3 a.m. we heard a loud shart and then we had to go throw out our chair. You/deleted responded. A friend became homeless so I took him in. He invited his boyfriend from another state to move in with us without consulting me. I didn't say anything because I was terrified of living alone at the time. An ex was stalking me. He got a dog off of Craigslist instead of paying rent. The dog hurt my little wiener dog and I had to deal with rehoming his dog because he couldn't deal with the emotions. He misrepresented the situation to his boyfriend and made me sound like a terrible person. My grandpa was in town and helped me move a futon out of storage to my home so my guests could stop sleeping on the couch. When we came inside, the autistic boyfriend was watching weird furry videos at his computer. I left town for 3 days to visit a friend graduating from basic training. When I came back they had moved out into another friend's house. After talking crap about me, the house was unlocked, there was no water for my dog or cat. Instead of changing the cat litter they had dumped it right outside the back door, beer cans were everywhere. I don't know how they could have afforded booze because they supposedly had no money, and a porn magazine was left on my bed. They were there for less than 3 weeks. A couple months later, my friend's lease expired. The couple had not yet gotten jobs. I let everyone else rent rooms from me. When my former guests asked, I was tired of them walking all over me and told them no. You/Mrs_Hannah responded. A friend was house-sitting for me while I had a long weekend away. They said they would stop by 2 days out of the 5 to make sure everything was good and water my plants. They showed up the day I left, unplugged my fridge and left. Came home to everything rotten and it smelled like someone was murdered in the fridge. Called and asked what happened and she said she was mad at me because her brand new boyfriend said I was cute. I was in a committed relationship with another woman at the time. Literally the last person to be interested in her scumbag boyfriend. We weren't friends after that and it took everything in me to not go kick her ass. I'm not a fighter by nature but that tested me. You/Fartknocker4521 responded. Husband and I threw a party at our house once. Never again. So many guests just had no fucking respect for our property. One guy got in an argument with his girlfriend and punched a hole in the drywall in our downstairs bathroom out of frustration. Someone threw a jello shot at the wall. It went unnoticed until morning when I found it had slid down the wall and ruined the carpet. We had typical party food set out for people to eat, but apparently that wasn't good enough for some people. I caught one lady cracking some of our eggs onto a paper plate because she wanted eggs. Caught another bitch putting an entire bag of my pizza rolls into the microwave, bag and all. For fuck's sake, we had tons of snacks out. There is no excuse to dig through our goddamn fridge for something else. Smoking in the house when we clearly told everyone to smoke in the garage. Found lots of cigarette butts laying around in the house. We're done having parties. You/Teddy October responded. After an afternoon of drinking, a friend of mine, my GF and her friend had all decided to sit down on the couch and watch a movie. We had all fallen asleep when my GF nudges me to wake me up. I woke up to see my friend standing in the corner pissing onto my dog's bed. Pissing. Like a racehorse, as they say. I just kept going and going and going. My girlfriend, now crying with laughter, comments, as I just stare incredulously, I have never seen you look shocked. Finally, as the pissing continues, I exclaim Gord asterisk. What the fuck are you doing? He looks back at me smiling and say what? Replied you're pissing in my house. He laughs and says no I'm not. Finishes, sits back down in the couch and immediately goes back to sleep. Names have not been changed to protect the idiot. He has not been to my house since. The 3 of us continue to laugh about it to this day. You/Michaelamurphs responded. One summer while my family was up north, my best friend at the time asked if her and my other good friend could use my pool. I said okay and told her where the key was. She ended up throwing not 1 but 3 house parties at my house without my knowledge. My grandmother even walked in on one because she was there to water the plants. The entire house was trashed. There was bleach spots on my lawn, bong water stains on the kitchen tablecloth, and broken glass everywhere. Wasn't friends with her after that. Edit. Hello everyone. I just wanted to say that I joined Reddit yesterday and this is my very first post. Thank you so much for all of the support. You guys rock. You/Malakoji responded. One of my former D&D players emptied a few pocketfuls of dirt, sod, and mud into our bathtub and bathroom sink. It caused an extremely slow drain for months while we tried to figure it out. And honestly, we still can't understand why he did it. Also, we are recovering alcoholics, and he would leave half-full handles of whiskey, good stuff, too, for just in case you'll change your minds and wanna stop being pussies. Then we have the friend who tried to convince my wife and I to swing. We are not into that scene at all, and there is a limited number of times you can tell me that you want to fuck my wife, that number is 1. And trying to get me too drunk to stop you is a bad call, because I had an iron liver at the time, and I will long outlast you. You/Cubs fan 04 responded. While my family was on a beach trip, we let our babysitters babysit the house and cats for 1 week. We trusted them, or so we thought we did. While my family was at this beach, the babysitters and her sisters, who were in high school at the time, held a party. They didn't clean up very well, so there was a cigarette burn on our living room carpet, blood on the bathroom wall, and our beds were not made properly. My dad went berserk and they ended up having to pay for all new locks to the house and a new carpet. They could have been fucked harder, but I guess my dad decided against it. $2,000 in damage would make them learn their lesson. I remember my dad saying the worst part was knowing that he was pissed someone had the nerve to put out a cigarette but on someone else's carpet. So yeah, that's pretty damn disrespectful. You/Okamimmunohem responded. I can't remember who it was a family member. My son was around too and he was getting himself an apple or an orange. He'd get it off the counter, peel the sticker off, wash it, and proceed to peel it or just eat it. Well, as he was washing his fruit, a guest goes to him and takes his fruit, and tells him he's too young to be getting his own food. I tell them I taught him how to get a snack and it's okay if he wants to eat some fruit. They insist that he should ask first, and when he said please, they washed it and prepared the fruit for him. To me that's disrespectful because I teach my son how to take care of himself and he gets so happy when he can do more things for himself, and they took that away from him and made him beg for something that was already his. You/hyperbole_train responded. This was 15 years ago. A work acquaintance ended up at one of our semi-regular poker nights. She spent the entire tournament on her phone, complaining about how bored she was. She was also helping herself to our booze and generally being a shitty guest in my house. I always insist that drunk guests stay the night unless they arranged for a safe ride home. This girl passed out on my couch long before people were ready to leave. Fast forward to the next morning when she is waking up in piss-soaked couch cushions and a nasty hangover. She quickly drove herself home without saying a word. No apology and no acknowledgement of her sloppy behavior. I didn't start her new couch pisser nickname at work, but I did nothing to stop it. You/Merzablinks responded. Not my home, but we were having a Friendsgiving at our friend's apartment, who we'll call H. Now, mind you, this lady had been cooking non-stop by herself a Thanksgiving feast. Turkey, sides, some pies, everything. Girl had been working hard to make this awesome feast, which I might add was delicious. The one thing she didn't get to was stuffing, so she asked someone if they could bring stuffing. One guy volunteers the day before he chose to do this. It's important to remember that, to bring stuffing. Come the time to eat, stuffing man isn't there. Food's all laid out wait to be eaten, but stuffing man is like 10 minutes late. Finally, we get a call saying he's picking up his stuffing and coming over. Great, we can wait a little more. He arrives and what does he have? A box of stuffing. Not made. He literally went to the store and bought a box of stuffing without having even made it. When we asked him what he was doing with the box, he said, "Oh, H can just make it for us." At that point, we all wanted to give him some slaps to the face. H made the stuffing, but you could tell that it seriously pissed her off, and I don't blame her. Ever since that, we literally don't give him any task or duties in terms of organizing fun things. Anytime he asks why we don't trust him, we just tell him to stuff it. You/Cyphus responded. My ex's mother came to visit and she was just a terror. The ex and I were renting a small apartment on a tight budget for college. His mother comes over and brings her new husband and their toddler son. She proceeded to raid our fridge and cook food for the three of them because they didn't want to stop for food on the way, 2.5-hour drive, and their son had no discipline at all. He took a few bites of our fruit and then just leave them. He found our cases of water and soda and started to open them. They just let him do it, The ex didn't say anything because he wanted to avoid confrontation. The visit proceeded with his mom commenting on how I had dyed my hair made me look like I had bald patches. Honestly, I'm so happy that woman is out of my life. You/throwaway_256_Toth responded. Back in college my 4 friends and I rented a house, and between the 5 of us we had enough friends to throw pretty big house parties, like 150 to 200 people that we all knew pretty well. So we trusted them and we would leave our rooms open if people wanted to chill in them. The first few parties went fine, until one of my roommates met this kid we'll call Chris. This fucking kid. Of course the roommate that met him has the worst judge of character. First, my friends in the line for the bathroom tell me they think there's funny business going on in there, so I start banging on the door. Chris walks out with a girl claiming he can't concentrate with my banging, so I tell him, "Good, knock it off." Then my roommate catches Chris heading into his room, which was empty, with a girl who was very clearly too drunk to make any decisions. So he kicked them out immediately and told Chris to get out of our house. We thought he had left, but since my bed is hidden in my room and we didn't think he'd have the audacity to climb over all the shit I put in front of it to specifically block people from going to my bed, we didn't notice him there. So when we finally see that he's lying in my bed, I tell him to get the fuck off. In the process, he drunkenly spills an entire beer can on my pillows and mattress. I have a weird tic about my specific sleeping habits, so I couldn't sleep for days. It took everything in me not to punch the shit out of this idiot. You/talk to Oziak responded. Slapped the back of my head because I said something he didn't like. In my house. It wasn't a love tap either. Dude smacked the shit out of me. Then got mad and told my GF at the time I was going to be an abusive boyfriend and she should leave me after I grabbed him by the chin and told him not to disrespect me like that again or we'd have a big problem. It was my cousin. To this day I just small chat to not cause family drama but still don't talk to him like I used to. I may have overreacted, but I'm a grown man and it was my house. Don't slap me, it's disrespectful. In fairness, everyone had a few drinks in them at the time of the slapping chin grabbing or I don't think any of it would have happened, but the abusive stuff he told my GF was the next day sober and behind my back, which is what upset me the most. You/Gypsaluna13 responded. 1. Roommate invites this guy over for whatever reason. I own an overprotective GSD who barks to let me know someone is at my house and is very intimidating apparently. I don't see it. She's the sweetest once she stops barking, just doing her job. Walks into my house and proceeds to tell me that he has no problem breaking my dog's neck if he needs to. I'm a 5 feet 7 inches 130 pounds girl and I wanted to kick his ass for saying that about my dog. 2. Was eating dinner at home and my boyfriend had one of his friends over. I set my plate on the counter to get a drink and turn around and boyfriend's friend is eating off my plate. 3. Some dude I barely know decides to get drunk in my house, open my lunch meat cheese drawer in my fridge and piss in it. You/Captain No Fun responded. I don't care if people smoke weed, used to smoke myself, but when I moved in with my SO, I told them I couldn't be around it because I work for police departments and they always drug test, didn't even want to chance a home visit with the smell around, and I was in the application process for a few departments. One night we're just sitting at our apartment when his brother shows up with his 2 friends who are clearly strung out on something. I told them to please not smoke in the apartment, but they proceeded to dump weed on the table, all over my book I had there and were about to smoke. I got up to leave and one of them followed me out screaming that I better not call the cops. I went and sat in my car for a few hours while they stayed inside smoking. While I was outside they thought it'd be funny to smoke in my closet with all my clothes, so I had to wash them the next day. You/MikeMan24 responded. I'm a very easygoing host. I'm the type to stay up till 4 a.m. trying to keep the conversation afloat because I never feel the need to tell people to leave. Essentially, friends can come and go as they please, eat, drink, smoke what they want, and be merry. Open door policy. One night my GF and I ordered pizza for us and we expected to be alone. A friend came over unexpected. That's fine. I smoked him up, his idea, we chilled out. He ate more than either of us, and didn't pitch. That's fine, random act of pizza, and as I said, open door policy as his a friend. Then when I went to get a final slice, he immediately laid out across the couch, put his feet where I had just sat and told me I should sit up when I eat and told me to sit elsewhere. What started as me politely asking him to let me sit and eat and ended with me telling him to fuck off and that I'll sit wherever I damn please in my house. He told me I was being rude and refused to move. I told him if he didn't move, I was going to become significantly more rude. He didn't move. We don't hang out much anymore. Last I heard from he messaged me out of the blue to try and buy weed off of me. Just an all-around stand-up guy. You/Gothiculg responded. My cousin came over with his 75-pound completely untrained Saint Bernard puppy. The dog bit me, bit a different cousin, bit its owner, bit an aunt, and bit my then 81-year-old grandma to the point she bled, then bit a child who was 3 at the time. I drew the line at the kids and demanded he get his dog under control and learn how to actually train her. This cousin is going to medical school and is highly intelligent. He should have no problems learning how to properly train what I proved in a fraction of a second was an easily trainable dog if you did a Google search on how to train a dog the correct way. No one comes back to my house because I called the family favorite to train his dog. You/Higo_Damisk responded. He walked past me doing work on an outlet and turned the breaker back on cause it was dark. Shocked me. Told him the breaker is off, don't touch it. I now use lockout tagout in my house. He did laundry while I was working on the drain piping under the house. Drenched me with laundry water. Told him not to use any water, he didn't know the laundry machine used water. He locked the door every time he went through it. One time he locked everyone out when we were having a party in the backyard. He put his foot through the wall while playing his computer game because the wall felt funny. He leaned on the soap holder tile, 5 minutes after we retiled the bathroom, knocking it off and chipping the glazing on the bathtub. He turned the AC off cause he was cold, then left the house on a 95-degree day. He locked the front door but didn't close it on a 95-degree day. Let the dog out, took hours to find her. You/Deleted responded. Fucked my ex-husband while I was at work. We had been married like 2 weeks but she and her kid needed a place to stay so Elle agreed for a day or two. First day I come home. Husband in boxers, her walking down the stairs buttoning her shirt. Her kid isn't even here. I was pissed. Sad to say I stayed another 3 years. Edit to add another one because he was an asshole and I was a total pushover. He texted me at work to let me know he had sex with her. I was upset but honestly it was nothing too new to our relationship. I got home from work after my shift and just wanted to go to bed but instead had to drive this girl home. It was the most awkward and frustrating drive of my life. I wanted to yell but I felt so defeated. I had known the girl previously, and had even introduced them, and I never spoke to her again. People suck sometimes. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Leave your own stories down below, I would love to read them. If you would like to see more videos like this, please like and subscribe, it helps me out greatly.